running out of time, cause I can see the sun light up the sky. So I hit the road and overdrive. Baby, I'm going through withdrawals. You don't even have to do too much. You can turn me on with just a touch, baby.
Yes, get in. 2 from 2. Calm down. Yeah, there's still 12 games to go. It was looking better than it was. Well, still 12 games to go. Pete, how are you on your? And you went on your travels yesterday.
Yeah, not too far down the road to Nottingham. But mate, I'm still struggling now. Like I've picked up injuries that I didn't think I had at the time. You know, we just go absolutely mental for like 95 minutes.
I wonder why.
Yeah,
I wonder why. Yeah,
honestly, that was full on aggression. Get in. You know, it just honestly the emotions that I think every fan went through.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure I'll talk about it during the review. Like every fan in that stadium and watching as well on TV went through during that game. That was just a whole load of relief and release going through in that picture there. Unbelievable.
It was a roller coaster of a game, though. It really was. Like, and we'll get into describing it, but you met a few people along the way as well. People might remember in the shape of Dave and Mr. Door. It's Ben, isn't it?
It is Ben, yeah.
It is Ben. Yeah.
Honestly, Daz, I have to say, you know, these two guys are amazing people. Honestly, they made me feel so welcome. I was there. I was going to meet a few friends to go into the away end with, but they said, you know, come and catch up with us. And it was really weird that, but just by chance, I bumped into Ben because he was going to meet somebody, and then he took me around to where the Nottingham Forest fans mix, and it was a great atmosphere. Dave was there. It was obviously Dave's birthday, so happy birthday to Dave. Apart from the result, he did say he had a good game, by the way. Sorry. But they just made it feel so welcome. And it was just amazing. They had the music decks on outside one of the pubs, and the vibe was really good. And then, and I didn't manage to get a picture because I was just so like engrossed in the conversation. Gary Neville was having his interview with Sky right next to us. And I feel sorry for Ben because they were only interviewing Forest fans. So I was kind of putting my hand up going, yeah, if you want to speak to a Newcastle fan. He was literally like within that 2 yards of me just recording. And Dave got interviewed by Gary Neville. I don't know whether it was shown on Sky. I haven't watched the whole show back yet, but Dave got interviewed by Gary Neville. And Ben had just missed out. And he was gutted because everyone was waiting for Ben, but he'd just gone to meet someone, and by that time he'd already chosen his people and got off at that point. But yeah, we had a good chat. I did a little bit for Ben's channel, get predictions. He tried to get me to say up the Forest, and I was just like, no. But apparently, other Newcastle fans that he'd interviewed had actually fallen for it. And I was like, you'll never get me saying that on there. But yeah, anyway, the vibe before the game was just great. Really, really good atmosphere.
Cool. I wonder, and then we will move on from your day trip slideshow, Pete. But because I saw Ben was with Adam as well, and you met Adam too as well on your travels.
Yeah, Adam was there. Adam was one of the lads that was in and around that atmosphere before, and I actually walked round to the away end with Adam. So we were just chatting just about things in general. as we're going towards the game, looking at the team lineup because it had just been announced and all the rest of it. Honestly, Adam's such a great guy, really, really great guy. We know we've had him on the channel so often, but just to meet and have a chat with him was really nice, and walking to the away end with him.
Cool. Right, let's get down to business here. Let's talk a bit about the game, and let's go with the lineups first. So the lineup was as follows. I suppose big news beforehand. This is a lot of news beforehand, a lot of rumors, and this player and that player was meant to be missing, but Miggy was definitely missing, and injury is for 6 weeks. It was talked about 3 weeks before the game, but Eddie Howe confirmed afterwards 6 weeks that Miggy would be out for. Coupled with the injuries to Gordon and potential now ASM, and because he mentioned hamstrings and ASM, so I don't know if that's an injury or not. That he mentioned that after the game. But any big surprises with the team, Newcastle's team, Pete? And here's the Forest team as well, actually, for anyone wanting to know who's playing for Forest. But any surprises?
From a Newcastle perspective, no, I've got to be honest. I fully expected Murphy to start. We talked about it on away days. I think, if I'm right, thinking that was the team that we had out that I thought would start the game and should start the game, if I'm honest. From a Forest perspective, though, Dave did mention that Cooper does have a knack of telling you one thing and doing another, a little bit like Howe sometimes as well. In the Brennan Johnson not likely to play, blah 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 blah, and then all of a sudden, I was around Ben and Dave when the lineups came up, and they were all kind of just like laughing out loud. They were almost saying he's done it again. Cooper's done it again because he put Johnson into the team. But they made a few changes. I'm glad they did, because I'm sure we'll talk about why one or two of their changes influenced the game for us in a positive way. So we'll get on to that. But the Forest team, it was what it was. I'll be honest with you, Daz, and I think you might well agree with this, is that I wasn't bothered who they played. Our team was good enough to win that game anyway.
Yeah. Well, same for me. I wasn't expecting Brennan Johnson to start, so that what did throw a bit of surprise. But look, let's get into the game. First that kicked off. Ayew tackled straight away, really on Char. Bad one for me, but the ref gave nothing, and that continues onto the game. You'll hear about that a bit further as well. 5 minutes in, chance for Willock, just wide. Forest were playing dirty, really. Yates had put in a few interesting tackles, let's say, on Willock, and Shelby like to put in a few tackles as well. Here's one of Shelby on Bruno, and what did Shelby say after? Whinging. He didn't like Newcastle. His old colleagues whinging. He didn't realize they're going to be whinges much, but it was said in good form, really, a bit of banter. And he was going into talk to the lads after the game, after the result. But fully focused on Forest, like he should be. And go on, yeah.
No, I was going to say, what did you think about some of those challenges from Shelby? Because he did put a few of them on Bruno, more so than anybody. Like, what did it look like to you guys watching on TV?
It looked rough, like a different referee, and he was getting a yellow card early, and he'd have to tone it down a bit. But did he even pick up a yellow card in the game? I can't remember now, because he definitely didn't in the early stages of definitely in the first half, because even the commentator said and Shelby with the yellow card, and then they corrected themselves. Oh, Shelby doesn't have a yellow card. They were even surprised themselves that he didn't have a card at that stage. But then actually, just before I move on, great interviews at the start of the game as well with Shelby and Wood. I'm not sure if you got to watch it back. I haven't rewatched it now, but it is worth watching again if you can. But on 11 minutes, free kick from Trips. Isak got a touch. Regan Luddy, deflection off the bar. 25 minutes, Botman. Pretty poor, shitty back pass, and Dennis capitalized and put the ball over 3 Newcastle players, including Pope. Potentially Pope should have done, but Botman should have definitely done better there for me. But I think Pope could have done more as well to try and save that one. But what was your thoughts on the Forest goal, Pete?
The Forest goal, I just remember Botman playing that pass back and going, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
Like that was kind of my reaction to it, and just praying that we didn't concede off the back of it. Look, I can't take anything away. It's a nice finish from Emmanuel Dennis. You know, it's probably the only way he was going to score the goal, if I'm honest, is that little dink. It was the only way, because I think Botman came back and covered Pope's other side quite well. I think Trippier was on the line. It was the only way he was going to score, and he scored. But again, we've gifted a team a goal. We gifted Wolves a goal on Sunday. We gifted Forest a goal on Friday. And at that point, I'm thinking, literally, I was just sort of hands on head, like, what is going on right now? Because we were up. We dominated. We could have been 3-0 up before they even scored that goal. It's crazy. But look, the one thing I'll say is, and look, it will reign true when we continue talking, is that I was always confident that there'd be more chances in the game for Newcastle to score.
Yeah, and if any good at lip reading, Byrne said the same thing. What the fuck is going on? At one stage, but yeah, 34 minutes. Longstaff hit the crossbar, the kind of deflection, and hit the crossbar. Newcastle creating chances, but not getting the breaks, and the ref was not really helping in this game and at all. Then up. Bring us forward to the 46th minute. Willock cross and an Isak goal. Let me get my little Isak goal. Boom. And now I can't even remember it now at this stage. I haven't watched it back since. I remember the first goal. But, oh yeah, hang on. Yes, how could I forget this? Oh yes, this goal was class. How he stretched and pulled that back. Absolutely class. Great ball in from Willock actually. But thoughts on that one, Pete?
You know what? It was a really well worked goal. And look, I think, I don't know whether some of you guys in the chat would have seen this, but it was a bit of a masterstroke. And we'll talk about individual players in a second later on. But it was a bit of a masterstroke from Eddie Howe again, because what he did, he switched ASM and Isak. He put Isak on the left just before half time, and he put ASM as a central striker. And so what that allowed is that ASM came deep, he won the ball. Willock won the ball. There was a bit of a 1-2 between them. He puts Willock through. The ball from Willock is outstanding, I have to say. Willock is really, he's added that to his repertoire recently, is that his ability to cross the ball like that little dinked raised ball into the box that people can, run on the end to. He's really developed that in his game. He did it 3 or 4 times in the game, and they're really, really good crosses. Brilliant cross, but there is no one else on that pitch that could have scored that goal like Alexander Isak. If ASM was playing at left wing and he was running onto that ball, even he wouldn't have scored that type of goal. There was only one man on the pitch that could do that, and it's our man, our Swede, Alexander Isak, and it was a brilliant, brilliant goal.
No, 100% agree, Pete. And I saw something on Twitter today as well about the Incredibles, the Elastigirl thing has Isak with that stretchy leg going to get that. You're right. Only he's the only one on the Newcastle team that could get a foot to that. And 2 points there. If you have heard the commentary afterwards, that Howe played ASM in the middle because he was feeling his hamstrings, and he played Isak left because he can play there. And also after the game, they were trying to take it off him, as in like Carricker, Neville, or they were chatting, and he said he meant it. He was placing that ball there, so quality goal. He's bound to say that though. Right, that brought us to halftime. 1-1 going in, and really great time to score the equalizer there going into the break. So really kind of dampened Forest a bit. On comes Anderson then, and ASM comes off, linked to that hamstring strain or whatever it might be. And 48 minutes then, Anderson's volley. Great volley, actually. When he came on the pitch, he was unreal, actually. Great save. Then after that, multiple corners for Newcastle. On the 58 minutes, Shelby had 2 shots for Forest. Bruno had on 60 minutes. Bruno had a shot that was saved. Next then on 64 minutes, bit of magic from Isak. He was ended up well, he was actually sitting on the ground when the ball came back to him from deflected off the Longstaff, and he put a cross in for Anderson. Anderson put a header bottom corner. What we all thought, true in Newcastle, this is it. The dream is back on. But VAR intervenes and rules it out after a long, lengthy look at it, and of course, actually just you have to feel sorry for Anderson in this situation as well as ourselves. But thinking he scored his first goal for Newcastle, Tierney went to the VAR and ruled it out. But your thoughts on the decision from the ref there and VAR, Pete? Right in front of you, was it?
Yeah, it was. It was right there. The Elliot Anderson goal that was ruled out. I just thought it was a lovely piece of play. We were really kind of, penning Forest back at that point. Lots of good stuff coming down that right-hand side. Murphy, brilliant again, really pushing and being very direct. I loved it. Trippier getting forward, almost like neglecting his defensive responsibilities because he was trying to drive us forward to get the goal that was going to win the game. Lovely ball through from Bruno, breaks to Isak. Isak's on the floor, but if you watch it back, how quickly he just gets up and just whips around with his foot. Just a little flick, works a space, ball with his left foot, by the way, to that back post. And you know what? That Elliot Anderson header, it just reminded me of Alan Shearer. I don't know if it did anybody else, but Alan Shearer used to score headers like that all the time, like right on top of the centre-back or the defender, right at the back post, gets up high, over him, bang, into the far corner. No keeper's going to stop that. And he was superb yesterday.
He was.
We talked about him at the Liverpool game when he started. He didn't look at the races. He got dragged once we had the red card, and rightly so. He looked the part. He really did. He really stepped up. Great finish. I've got to be honest, Daz, for all of the VAR stuff I missed. And the reason why is because for each goal celebration, I lost something. So I had my keys in my left pocket, my phone in my right. For the first goal, I lost my keys. I couldn't find them. I was like, when I finished celebrating, I checked my pocket. It wasn't there. My phone was there. And I was like, I'm not getting home. Like, what is going on here? I asked everyone around me, have you seen keys? Have you seen keys? I got to the guys because I was right next to the staircase. And Newcastle fans, being Newcastle fans, they don't sit where they should. So everyone was standing, but in the build-up to the first goal, in the staircase, I lost my keys. There were 7 rows down at the front. So as I'd celebrated, my keys must have gone up, and there was a surge forward. It took my keys 7 rows in front. So I managed to get my keys back like 5 minutes later.
Where are the keys?
It was honestly, it was mad. For Elliot Anderson's goal, I lost my keys again. Okay, 3 rows down, but behind the seat somewhere. I have no idea. So I was panicking again, looking for my keys. I can't find my keys. So all that VAR stuff afterwards celebrated, I missed. And when I found my keys, they just ruled it out, and I was like, oh my god, like I nearly lost my keys and like didn't find them for a goal that wasn't even given. I wouldn't mind it to a point if it had been given. But yeah, so that was that, and I'll talk about the winner separately.
Cool. Well, at least you found them, Pete. Yeah, but the goal was ruled out, and on we went trying to in search of a winner. Next up was 79 minutes. Murphy, a miss from Murphy. 83 minutes, a shot from Isak. Richie comes on. Murphy comes off. At this point, I'm thinking, where is Wilson? What is up with Wilson here? Why are we throwing Wilson on here to try and get this winner? But Eddie Howe does explain that he didn't train during the week. Then up on to 91st minute, handball, and a penalty awarded to Newcastle. So at this stage then, well, I was in my notes, I was writing an Isak penalty, not knowing what the result was to be, but Trippier has the ball. And everyone is kind of going, Trippier, and even Sky shows Trippier's record from penalties where he's placed them before, and of course he gets all the in the ear from the keeper and everyone else trying to put him off. But no, then when it's time for the penalty, he hands the ball to the man himself, Isak, who silenced the crowd and puts the ball in the back of the net. Well, Isak, here he is again. Yeah, 2-1 Newcastle. Sorry. There we go. There's Isak again. So thoughts there, Pete, on I know the thoughts where everyone was in the same position. I know I was there standing up waiting to kiss the telly as the net bulged for that winner. But your thoughts in the crowd, what did you lose at that stage, Pete?
Oh, honestly, like you know what, you just celebrate with anybody. You got people like hugging you, grabbing you. There was another surge to the front. I lost my phone. My phone was 4 rows down at the front, like face down as well. So I thought I'd smashed my screen. Luckily, fingers crossed, it was okay. But we were just going absolutely mental. Like, it was crazy. And just in front, so Isak goes into the crowd to celebrate with the fans that surge forward, because there's a little gap and fans can access that bit, and then there's like a little white post that you can pretty much sit on that separates you from the stadium. It's not great for safety features, but he comes in, all the fans are jumping in, and we're just going absolutely mad. There's a huge surge, and we're just thinking, like, look, we should have had a goal anyway, but to get that goal the way we did, the last minute, just meant everything, honestly. It was just a massive period in which we won the game. I felt really bad for there was a little boy that got caught up in the surge forward, and when it all kind of like died down a little bit, he was crying, bless him, and the stewards were kind of helping him. And what I loved about it is, like, they're helping him when he's crying, but he turns around to the away fans and he's like, "Come on!" and like tears rolling down his eyes. That was like, yes, because, like, obviously, bless him, he's only a little lad, probably about 7 or 8. Like, he's a really young lad. Top off the lot, like, he's going mad, like, he's loving it. It was great, honestly. One of the best away ends up in it, and to get that win the way we did, we deserved it before then, but to get it that way just meant literally they were not getting back in the game. They knew once that penalty was given, and once Isak put it in the net, there was no coming back from that.
Yeah, I totally agree, Pete. I know my video is stopping and starting, so apologies for that. No, it was absolutely amazing, and couldn't believe it at that stage. Like, we come back from the death in the Wolves game, and we do the same in the Forest game. We don't have to make it easy, difficult for ourselves, really. But that was. Amazing. And look, then we let's cut straight to the team photo, because I know I was getting my photos ready for tonight, but I was waiting for this team photo to come through, and here it is. We're waiting for now. We've been waiting for so long for them, and now we've got 2 in a row, 2 victories in a row. Absolutely delighted. Everyone buzzing, and that leads us into the international break. And of course, anyone that's not gone and be playing international games, they're gone to Dubai at the moment. They flew out last night. I think they touched down in Dubai today, and they're good to go for the training camp. But the other interesting thing, I'll keep that when we go talking on the table. Let's go straight to the result. Before we do, Pete, your overall thoughts on the game.
I've got to be honest, Daz. I was really, really impressed with the performance. I thought it was a really good performance away from home Friday night against a team that hadn't lost since September in their home ground. The atmosphere was built up before the game. There was a big kind of like crowd and atmosphere and chants before the game. But You know, we played our part the away end. We silenced them for long parts of the game with the singing, dancing. Lots of people have said it was really loud on TV. It was like deafening where we were. But the boys did it on the pitch. They continued to press them. They continued to create chances. You know, with all the players, with all the talk of Miggy and Gordon and question marks over Callum Wilson, we still put in a really good performance, and we still created chances. These players that at times we've discarded, Murphy, for example, you know, Elliot Anderson, well, he needs a loan. He's not ready for first team football. These guys have come in, Matt Ritchie as well, come in. There are 3 players you would never think would come off the bench, have influenced the game, all 3 of them. I was impressed with all 3 of them, and we continued to play the way we wanted to play, even with those players in the team. And I can't help but be really proud of the boys, because that's the kind of performance that other teams in previous years would have maybe slipped up in this crucial part of the season. We haven't, and that should really give us massive confidence to go on into the last section of the season after the international break. But what was your assessment, Daz? What do you think?
No, I absolutely delighted with the result. You know, like I said, the Wolves in the first game were must wins for us to maintain any kind of hope towards top 4, and it's great to see others fumbling a bit along that journey. So it gives us the chance. You know, we are in the drive. So it is in our own hands now, but a long way to go yet. But yeah, you're right. You know, like players that you wouldn't expect. Like I've called Matt Ritchie a mascot for so long, but no, he's coming on the pitch and he's doing a job. He's a calm head as well out there. Didn't think I'd say that for a while. Richie Camhead. But yeah, the other thing is that's without Joe Linton as well. Those 2 wins are without Joe Linton. We have Joe Linton back for the Man United game. It is unfortunate we're picking up these injuries, but we just seem to have enough. I just hope that we don't see some injuries in international duty now as well. Just because we're on the bare bones, you know, to put out an 11 and just 1 or 2 to supplement towards the end of the games, or just try and change it slightly. But you're definitely right. And but okay, let's get into the rating speed. Let's go to fly through them. Popey. I have Popey down as a 6.5. I thought he should have done a bit more for the goal. I thought he could have made himself bigger, or came to Dennis to try and to snuff it out. Because there was players behind him as well. But I'm giving him 6.5. Popey.
Pope. I've got to be honest, Daz. It's another one. Like,
yeah.
He didn't really have too much to do, but I will say, in the second half from Brennan Johnson, he does make a really good save low down to his left-hand side.
That's true, yeah.
Good save with his feet, that keeps us in the game. It's probably one of their only chances they actually had in on goal in the whole of the second half. But yeah, he didn't really have much to do. So look, I'm gonna, for that save alone, I'm gonna give him a 7. And I don't think there's too much he could have done about the goal in itself, just because it wasn't necessarily his fault. But everything else came and collected. He distributed the ball well, all those things well. But that save probably gives him a 7. And not giving him a 7 because he was poor. I'm just giving him 7 because really, like, he didn't do anything else.
Yeah.
Need to.
That's fair enough. Yeah. Right, let's move on. Let's go to Trips. Thought Trips is a solid game, and I absolutely loved the shithousery or whatever. Like Eddie Howe said that wasn't his idea, that he would kind of shield Isak from abuse or getting mind games right before the penalty. But yeah, he had a solid game, a leader throughout, and yeah, you know, he was bombing forward there, trying to set something up, and need a few free kicks, of course, as well to try and. But I'll give him 7.5 for Trips.
Trippier, I'll probably say I'd give him an 8. I was really impressed with him. Certainly from an attacking point of view, he linked the play really well, dominated down that right hand side. Certainly in the first half, he was involved in everything. Really managed his play well. There wasn't really anything of any note or any danger down that right hand side, because I think he managed it very well defensively. But going forward, in the first half, he was involved in everything. I love that little low down free kick played into Isak.
Yes. That's
or
brilliant.
that's the kind of thing that I come to expect from Trippier and from Newcastle now with our set pieces, trying something a little bit different. It caught them out big time, and Isak was unlucky not to score. But in the second half, he drove us forward. He really kind of he pushed us forward and demanded us to go forward as well. And he demanded the best out of all of our players. And I'll go into that a little bit later when we come on to some other players of how he demanded those standards throughout the game. So 8 for me.
8 for you, no problem. Let's go to the centre backs. Shar. I didn't think it wasn't Shar's best game. And I'm thinking back to when I saw him playing against Forest live, the first game of the season, and he scored that goal. But there's a few wayward passes at times. I'm giving Shar a 6. For me, 6 on the right.
Any reason why?
I don't know. I'm going back up because I as I said before, I give I mark players when I'm watching the game. I give him 6 at halftime. I give him 6 at full time. I just thought it wasn't. There was he lost the ball once or twice, if I remember. So altogether, I give him a 6. Yeah. I go heads up. I go worse than Botman.
Okay. I would agree with you. I think both centre backs, that was probably their worst games I've seen for a while. We still won, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, in terms of their collective and individual performances, that's probably the worst I've seen from both of them. I'm going to give Shar a 7, just because obviously we won the game and they didn't really have too much to deal with throughout the game. But the reason why it's not any higher is because of their ability on the ball. The amount of times they played long ball passes to nobody and just gifted the ball back to the opposition unnecessarily was just not okay. And this is not me having a go, by the way, but this is just a little something that I've noticed in their game that I think we need to eradicate because it's not necessary. We don't need to do it. And it's our overplay at centre-back. The constant playing it between themselves at the back. We know they're good on the ball, but there are times that we can really push the ball forward. Certainly at 1-0, we could have just drove the ball forward and given it to players in forward positions to get us up the pitch. And we were just continuing to play it along the back. And it can be very, very frustrating to watch. And it's like, we can see the bigger picture. We can see other players that want the ball, that are demanding it. Just give them the ball. You don't need to keep playing it across the back. If we're 1-2-0 up, 3-0 up, fine. Keep the ball all day. Let them come to you. No problem. But not when we're 1-0 down. And it happened with both players. So for me, I give Shar a 7. It wasn't one of his best games. But yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Sure, I get to 7 for you, Pete. On to Botman. I'll go to the positives first. Some excellent passes, long balls as well in the game, trying to get us back into it. But the negative is the obvious back pass, like a suicide attempted back pass to Pope, and it really caught us. And that's where Forest got their goal. Dennis flipped it over. I think he was kind of afraid as well. Then after that, 1 or 2 times I thought he would pass it back, and he opted for a different route with the ball. But altogether, on Botman, I'm sorry, Botman, love you, but I'm going to give you a 5 for last night. The back pass being which led to the goal being the key thing for the reason why.
Yeah. Again, I'm probably just going to stick with them the same score. So I've just kept Botman at a 7 as well. I thought he was maybe slightly better on the ball, although he did give a couple of long ball passes away. He was a little bit better on the ball and a little bit better defensively. But the reason why I've kept him the same is because of the back pass that created the goal, the first goal. It was poor. It was, it was too. Trying to find the right word. It was just lazy. It was lazy, lethargic. It was like not being aware of what's around him that's cost us that. And sometimes we give the ball to Pope too much, too often. We don't need to. And I just think that that ball there, as it's come back, with a little bit more awareness. You do sometimes what Burn does. You just put it out of play. We regroup, we defend, we go again. And sometimes maybe that simplicity just needs to be added to it, to not just his game, but Shaw's game as well. But I also understand that they're not built like that. They are ball-playing centre-backs, and they like to keep the ball in possession. So just one game off for me, for both Shaw and Botman. I'll give them the same for different reasons. 7.
Oh, and then of course Botman has called up the Dutch squad now as well, so that's great for him. And yeah, big difference in her score. There 5 and 7 people. We'll move on. Interesting.
I'm trying not to be too sort of negative. Like, to be fair, I wouldn't argue with the 5s or even lower for those two, but I'm just trying to
continue.
You know what? Some sections of the Newcastle fans, not necessarily in the chat, by the way. Our chat is amazing, but yeah, they will always jump on us regardless.
Let's move on. So let's go to Burn. I have no notes wrote down, but I thought Burn had a solid enough game. He he was on Brendan Johnson for a lot of the game, I think. I've given him a 6.5 for my rating. And he was, for me, he was better than Sharon Botman, but he wasn't at the level of Trips. So that's why it's gone for 6.5 for Burn.
Absolutely right, Daz, which is why I've put Burn in the middle, 7.5, in between Trippier and the centre-backs. I was actually really impressed with how he handled Brennan Johnson at times, and anyone that came down his side. I thought he defended very, very well. He was never destroyed for pace or beaten down there like really, really badly. I thought he defended well. I thought he marshaled his area at times, particularly in the first half. He did try and get forward, but yeah, I can't argue his performance. When everyone, and when I say everyone, I mean everyone sort of outside of the Newcastle fan base think, oh, he's going to get battered here. He's not very fast. Brendan he's got a lot of pace and blah, 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 whether it's Anthony or whether it's whoever. He always comes and proves people wrong, and he did so tonight, in my opinion. I don't know whether anyone else would agree with that, but yeah, 7.5 for me.
No, that's fair enough. And I've gone 6.5, but I could be persuaded to go as far as 7 for Burn because of Brendan Johnson. He's performance on Brendan Johnson. Let's go to Bruno. Let's go to midfield. Next, Bruno, yeah, took a bit of a battering, mainly from Shelby, but from a few more as well. Yates got in on him as well. He seemed to get in on everyone, but he was kept some lovely passes and through balls. He was kept quiet because I think that was a tactic from Forest to get in, nullify Bruno, and then we stopped Newcastle. It was their route to try and get something from the game. Altogether, I'm giving Bruno 7.
Bruno, I'm giving Bruno an 8.5. I thought Bruno ran the show in midfield. He gave Morgan Gibbs-White an absolute runaround on Friday. Honestly, the way Bruno's not the fastest player, by the way, but the way he glides, 1 touch, 2 touch, past the player, and you could see the frustration in the ground. You could see the frustration on Morgan Gibbs-White's face. Every time Bruno got the ball back to goal, he'd take 1 touch, 2 touch, and just glide past him, whether it was on his left or on his right, and he'd just keep the ball ticking over it. He just makes everything look simple. And for the first time in a number of games, he looks back to Bruno that we saw beforehand, before his ankle injury. He looks like he's come over his ankle injury. He really looked back, in my opinion, back to his best yesterday. And I thought he absolutely dominated that midfield, right from the middle, right from the centre. He controlled everything, passes out wide, passes into areas. We talked about the goal that was disallowed from Elliot Anderson, but he plays the pass that breaks the lines, that creates the moment. He's involved in everything, and look, his passion and his desire, his reaction to both goals when Isak scores, just means everything. It means everything to him. I think, he's so desperate to drag us up to Champions League football that he's just giving everything to the cause. And yeah, I think he really taught those Forest midfielders a lesson. I really did.
Yeah.
I thought, going back to the point, Shelvey went out to hurt him. It was almost like Shelvey was going out to test Bruno's ankle early on with some of the challenges that he was going in for. But Bruno didn't react. He didn't rise to it. He won the free kicks on the back of it, but he kept playing his game. And there was almost a little bit of Shelvey in his comments after the game, although he said they were tongue-in-cheek, kind of like fall into this, is that ultimately Bruno's Shelvey's replacement.
Yeah.
And Shelvey was almost playing against Bruno to kind of prove a point. And that's why he was going in on him. He was trying to, not saying he was trying to injure him, but trying to let him know that he was there. But Bruno just rises to it, doesn't let it get to him, and just keeps playing his football. And in the end, he just taught that midfield a lesson. Superb.
And if you were to listen to Shelvey before the game, he said, "It's just another game. It's just another." Like he has grown up a bit. It's taken a while, but he's grown up a bit. But yeah, no, he was. There was a game plan to keep Bruno quiet. Yeah, and you're right. Gibbs White did pull back Bruno at one stage as well. They were struggling to contain him a bit. But right, we'll move on. Let's go to Longstaff. Longstaff, I don't know what's written down on, but altogether I gave him a 7. He had to put a solid performance in. Cut the ball back a few times. There was one where he on the 34th minute where he did the kind of deflection of a shot and he hit the crossbar. But solid game from Longstaff. Nothing negative to say about him.
For me, Longstaff. Yeah, I'll give Longstaff an 8. I thought Longstaff played really well. I thought he had a good game. I think he went about his business really well. I thought he covered a lot of ground. He did a lot of the doggy work that we've come to expect him doing in the game. Had a couple of opportunities that was unlucky with, hit the ball. One of them was just over. But he's growing into his position. And again, I thought he had a really good game. Again, really dominated the midfield alongside Bruno and alongside Willock as well. And that's where ultimately at times we won the game, because we dominated those positions. The amount of times we won the ball back because we were pressing high, we were causing them problems. But I love Sean Longstaff for his defensive work as well. The things that we don't see. Like I love, from corners, for example, when we're in attacking corners, he's always the furthest man back. He's the last defender, and he does a job for the team that way. And he's done that all season. It's just little things like that he just takes responsibility for, that I like about Sean Longstaff. And he's been criticised before. We've backed him throughout the season, Daz, but he seemed like he was back to his old self yesterday and put in a really good performance. So for me, 8.
Pete, I'm just laughing to myself. I'm thinking back about a year ago, more than a year ago, and it was like Sean Longstaff. Let him go to Everton. Let him go there. It was like we had kind of rid him off at that stage. That was under the Bruce era, of course. But he has turned around, and Eddie Howe has got the best out of him again. So fair play to him. Right, let's move on. Let's go to Willock. We touched it on a bit in the game, and in the chances, the early chance, I was backing Willock to score for us in this game. It didn't happen. I thought it nearly did, though, in the very early. Of course, then there was the assist for Isak, and just all around play was class again for another week, second game in a row. I given Willock an 8.
Willock gets a 9 for me. I thought he was outstanding yesterday. Not only does he get the assist, but on top of that, I just thought he was brilliant again. We asked the question, could he put back-to-back performances in and be as good as he was against Wolves? I thought he was. I thought he was just as good as he was against Wolves, exactly the same against Nottingham Forest. Whether it's left, whether it's right, he runs with the ball, he commits defenders. I mentioned to you about adding to his repertoire of his ability to cross the ball effectively, not just cross the ball for crossing's sake, but to put it in areas that are dangerous for our players to come on the end of. He seems to have added that to his game. And there's an air of confidence about him. He looks confident in what he's doing. He looks happy. He looks like he knows his job on the pitch. And it's great to see. It really, really, really is great to see. And I'm intrigued to see how he moves forward. I've got to be honest. With the likes of Calvin Phillips in the England squad and Mason Mount, who have had horrible seasons, both of them, horrible seasons. I'm surprised that Sean Longstaff or Willock have not been considered. I really am. For me, I think Sean Longstaff for defensive abilities and Willock for driving players forward, I think should have been deserved at least a call up, in my opinion. There's not a massive pool of quality centre midfielders, but I think with the way they've both performed over the course of the season, where Newcastle are right now, going and talking more specifically, Willock should be in that conversation.
I would go along with that as well, Pete. To be considered at least for that in called the recent squad announcement there. A little bit of techers as well. I don't know if you've seen that again. Nice little, that'll be on Soccer or on Soccer AM for sure. Right, moving on. Let's go to Murphy. Murphy put in a few good crosses, following on from a good display against Wolves. I know, yeah, I know my markers are a bit more on the lower side than yours, but I've gone 6.5 for Murphy.
Murphy gets an 8 for me. I really like Murphy the last 2 games. Look, we've had our opinions on Murphy. The whole fan base has. No one would have been sad to see him leave in the summer or even in January. But I tell you what, he's coming to this team in a moment where we need him, especially with Miggy being out, and he has deserved his starting berth. I think his directness, his pace, his ability to cross the ball and commit defenders is exactly what we need right now. We've simplified our game. We've simplified our game in attacking areas, and to take on a man, get a ball into the box, and make sure attackers are in there sniffing. And we're doing exactly that. And Murphy has epitomised that. He did it in the Wolves game. In the first 5 minutes, had 3 or 4 good real crosses into the box to cause problems. He was doing so last night, driving at players, committing players, and he looks genuinely happy. He just looks happy to go about his business and do his job in the right way. So for me, I'm giving Murphy an 8.
Okay, cool. Moving on. Next up is ASM. Now, ASM was injured in that first half. He had some kind of a hamstring issue. Was replaced by Anderson. So it's not a really. I'm going to give him a 5, but it's because he was injured and it didn't go. He didn't do much before that either. But who knows when he picked up the injury. It just was brought to our attention, I suppose, when he was replaced in the second half on TV. They didn't make much noise about it, and then Eddie Howe explained afterwards that he moved Miggy in the centre and Isak out left, and because of that issue. But 5 for me for ASM.
I'm going to go with a 4. I'm going to go lower. That's probably my lowest rating of the season. I've got to be honest, and I've got to. I'm basing this purely on his performance. I didn't know about the hamstring injury and the tightness, which almost makes sense. Mm-hmm. But I've never been so frustrated with ASM on the pitch than I was on Friday night, and I was very vocal about it in the stands. It wasn't that he was shit; he just didn't do anything. He didn't do anything. Like, what is the point of ASM being on the pitch if he's not going to do anything on the ball? And he frustrates the hell out of me. And I watched him for 45 minutes, and he gets the ball in good areas, and he doesn't take on a man. He doesn't drive at them, and he's very rarely then putting balls into the box because he'll cut the ball back and play it to another player. That's not what we brought ASM for. That's not what the ASM is that we love and want in the team. So if he's not going to do that, there's no point in being on the pitch. There is no point. So I called it 5-6 minutes before half time. We saw Wilson like
warming up,
vigorously warming up, and we thought it was him. Elliot Anderson was also out there. It turns out it was Elliot Anderson that was being brought on. And we called it before half time. We said ASM is not coming back on the pitch at half time. There was no way he was coming back on the pitch. And I was just massively frustrated with him. Now, if it was a hamstring injury, fair enough. If they've moved him into the forward line, fair enough. But still, if you're not going to have an ASM that's driving at players, that's committing players, that's creating moments into the box, there is no point. There is just no point in having him. Now, the one frustrating thing about it all is that he actually plays a part in the goal. He actually plays, he plays the pass to Willock, that Willock plays the ball into Isak. Goal. So he'll probably come back and say, well, I was involved in the goal. And he was, just like he was in Bournemouth, against Bournemouth. But it's not enough. We need more. Now, if he's not fit, don't play him. Don't play him. Because if you're not going to get that absolute maximum from him, there's no point in playing him. There is no point. So, it massively frustrating to me. He just didn't do anything in the game. He didn't do anything of note, apart from obviously be part of that moment in which we scored. But for 45 minutes worth of football, nah, not for me.
It's just come back to me. He was putting in a kind of defensive shift, right? He was doing the chase and the press and trying to win the ball back. But that was probably before he felt his hamstring. But no, I think we're fair enough. That's what we need. Not what we need him for anyway.
That's not why I judge ASM on. I've got to be honest. A lot of people do, whether you're in the chat or whether Newcastle fans in general, people will get mad at him because he's not tracking back, because he's not doing his defensive duties. I'll be honest. We've got fantastic midfielders that can cover that position. I don't really care about that. I judge ASM and what he does in attacking areas. Can he do what he did last week, where he puts it through 3 or 4 times and creates big moments for us? Can he create moments for us where we win a free kick or we gets across into the box that creates a little bit of mayhem? Can he do that? That's what I judge ASM on. He didn't do any of that for me in 45 minutes against Forest. And if you're asking an attacking left midfielder to do a job for the team, it's what he does attackingly, not defensively. For me, the defensive side is the 25% of his job. I want to see what the 75% was, and yesterday it wasn't good enough. It's the first time I've thought to myself, and other people have had this opinion on him. This is the first time I thought to myself, I genuinely can't see him here next season. I genuinely can't.
Well, that ties into the next one, because we're going to go to Isak, but let's leave him to the very end. Let's go to his replacement, ASM's replacement, Anderson, who came on for the second 45 minutes. And also keep bearing in mind that we've got Miggy out for 6 weeks. We've got Gordon out for at least till probably after the Man United game, unless he makes a comeback for that. And I'm not so sure about that. And if you're going to start the next day against Man United, are you starting ASM if he was fit, or Anderson in that position if we were going for the same approach? But let's just focus on Anderson. I've given Anderson a 9. He came off the bench. He was absolutely lethal. He got the volley. Before that he had made some nice breaks as well. He made a nice run and fell over. I was just thinking, get some proper studs. I was thinking at one point, but no, he really gave it everything, Anderson, and the goal obviously that should have counted, but was ruled out. But altogether, it's his time, as our team tune goes. It might be his time to start the next day. I know against the Man United, but thoughts on Anderson, Pete, and your rating for him?
I'm going to go 8.5 for Anderson. I thought he was absolutely tremendous when he came onto the pitch. He gave us the spark that we needed on the left-hand side. He gave Aurier the runaround consistently in the second half. He linked the play really well. And I just like the way he plays. He just wants to get in on the end of things. He's always wanting to score goals. The goal that he scored that was ruled out is what I expect of a left-sided midfielder. Someone that's on the back post, getting in there, causing problems, always wanting to be involved in everything. I love the way he played, and he really, really did bring an impact into the team. And what I've noticed about him, and you can see it in the picture of the team, he's really beefed up as well. Physically, he looks big, he looks strong. There weren't many players that could knock him off the ball in the game. But what I loved about Elliot Anderson, and it shows his level of confidence at the moment, the amount of times he made that bending run from left to right in, and you talked about it when he slipped. He was in on goal. He was in on goal and he was onside, and he made the left bending run, and he got through and he just slipped over. He'd have been in on goal. He'd been 1-on-1. The likelihood of him scoring would have been high. And so for me, at 8.5, really, really good impact performance. And look, that will give him massive confidence going into the next 2 weeks. And look, will he start against Man United? Probably not. But hey, if he can come and do that as an impact player in the next game, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I see my video is way behind what I'm actually saying, but don't take any notice of that. Right, let's go to the main man himself. Let's go to Isak, and for me, Isak gets a 10. 2 goals in the game, another assist for Anderson that was ruled out from a sitting position originally. But yeah, following up from his performance against Wolves, we have some player on our hands there. The next Henry, or even someone better than Henry, but he's absolutely class, and he's so cool, calm, and collected as well. And even the interviews afterwards as well, he's just, he's going to be up there now. He's Bruno want to put up his socks. Bruno's my favorite player, but Isak is making the right moves. 10.
Yeah, it has to be a 10 for me. 2 goals, wins us the game, but that's not what that's not what I loved about Alexander Isak. Alexander Isak is everything you want in a striker. Everything you want in a striker. He can run in and behind defenders. He can link the play back to goal. Good foot movement. He can play a pass. He can come in from the channels. He can score goals in the air. He literally is the complete striker. At 23 years old, you can see him being good all round at everything. And it was such a pleasure just to watch him play for 90 minutes, 90 plus minutes. So that question's gone out the window. Can he play 90 minutes? He said. And he didn't look tired. He didn't look shattered. He didn't look out of energy. He was still making those runs late on in the game compared to what he was right at the beginning of the game. And he gave Forest centre-backs a torrid time. They didn't know what to do. When he pops up on the right or for Elliot Anderson's goal that was ruled out, or he pops up on the left to score the goal that gets us back in the game, they don't know who to mark, because he's all over the place, and that's what a top striker does. They keep moving. If you're static and stand still, you're easy to mark. He is not easy to mark, and he is just getting better and better and better. And Craig Hope tweeted out after the game and said, wait until he gets fully fit. He isn't probably fully fit. He's not fully fit and up to speed, but he's doing that at probably 80%. You wait until he's at 100%. You wait until he's had games under his belt. You wait until he gets to grips and customizes himself to Premier League football. We have got a top level striker on our hands. And I'll be honest with you, I fully expect him to get double figures this season. He's one behind Callum Wilson already on 6 goals, if I'm right in thinking. I fully expect him to get double figures. And it's everything that we said. We said it back in September. Once Alexander Isak is fit and is back in the team, he will stay in the team. And there is no way that Eddie Howe can drop Alexander Isak from this point now. It's his place. He is the main man up top. and he's the one that's going to drive us forward. And you know what? With his European experience and experience of playing against top-level teams and scoring against top-level teams, that's exactly what we want going into this final throw of the season.
Nice spine of the team there to build around in the summer. Right, let's of course, you might have seen this, Pete, but Sky put up this after the game as well. So, and this is before the games today, and with Tottenham drawn their game. So they had Arsenal. This is for a top 4 predictor. They had Arsenal at 100%, Man City at 100%. They're definitely nailed on. Definitely going to be in the Champions League next year. Man United is saying 90%, 90.3% chance that they'll be in. We're only 3 points behind them, and play the same again for them. They're giving them 90%. Before today's game for Spurs, they gave them 31.5%. I feel that's gone down a bit now. And Newcastle, they gave 36.4%. So we're the highest from in that bunch there to potentially get into the top 4. And Liverpool 28.8% and Brighton at 12%. So I'm expecting that now this will chop and change with every little detail as it goes on. But it was an interesting stat that we're one of the favourites to get that 4th spot, maybe even the 3rd spot. But that was from Sky. But let's look at the table, Pete, and see where we are. So we're sitting in 5th spot, obviously, after 26 games on 47 points. Spurs, who are ahead of us on 4th spot, have played 28 games and they're on 49 points. So they're 2 points ahead of us, but have played 2 games more. Liverpool are on the same amount of games as us, 26, and they're on 42 points. So they are 5 points behind us. Same for Brighton, but they have played a game less. They're on 42 points. Brentford, who drew today, I think they drew today, didn't they? Brentford.
Brentford drew to Leicester.
Yeah, 42 points, and so they played a game more. So, and there's more. Like Chelsea, I think that probably their game did end in a draw, I imagine. So yeah, that kind of keeps them quiet as well. No harm. For me, it's looking pretty nice. Nice 2 green ticks there on beside Newcastle's name as well. That's what we like to see. 12 games to go, sitting pretty, a lot to do, but it's in our own hands. What do you think, Pete, of the table?
The table is by far a better reading than it was a few weeks ago. That's for sure. So, look, 47 points. They've got Man United on a 90% guarantee of top 4. We beat Man United at St James's Park in our next game. We go above them on goal difference. So that throws us completely back in the race. But I do agree that we've got a better chance than Tottenham finishing in the top 4. If anyone's seen the comments from Antonio Conte today, all is not well in that camp, and he's gone in on his players and the owner. And that does not look good for them at all. And Southampton did us a huge favour in getting them a point. That won't be the only game they drop points between now and the end of the season. So it's a case of, can we capitalise? So look, we're in a really, really good position at this moment. And with what we've done, we've clawed back what was a difficult period for us in terms of results. And we've clawed that back with 2 valuable wins when other teams have slipped up. So what we need to do now is keep ploughing forward. You know, we've got some tough games coming up. Man U come to St James's Park. Can we win? 100% we can. And then we've got 3 away games on the bounce. So we've got obviously the West Ham, Brentford, and then Aston Villa. Now keep an eye on the Brentford situation, because I've been informed that if Ivan Toney gets another yellow card in his next 2 games, he misses our game with us, because I think he's on 9 yellow cards. So keep an eye on that situation, because Brentford without Ivan Toney are not the same team. If I'm right in thinking, he missed the last time we went to Brentford. So keep an eye on that one. But look, someone in the chat has mentioned about Brighton. I agree. You can't rule Brighton out. But equally, Brighton come to us. Brighton come to us. So, we've got an opportunity to gain points on them as well. So let's see. But are we in the race for top 4? We are back in that race. There's no doubt about it. But let's see how we kick on after the international break. First of all, Daz, I'm sure you agree, we need players back. We need the likes of Gordon back. We need Isak Maximin fit if it was a hamstring injury. We need Wilson fit. Obviously, over the course of the next 2 weeks, he's not in the international squad. So we need to get these players fit and ready so we can hit the ground running in this really sort of difficult period. These next 4 games could really decide where we go this season. You know, if we can get 2 or 3 wins, maybe even win them all. If we win them all, I think we're in the race, not just for top 4, but maybe even third at that point. Because I think you look at all the other teams around us; they all playing each other. So it's a big one. It is a big one. What do you think, Daz?
No, yeah, I think I see my internet connection is dying again. But it is massive, and that's why I put out above the fixtures. Like this next game against Man United is key. It's I think we can't let's not lose it. If we get a point, we're still, it's not a bad thing, but it'd be great to get something from us. What I'm trying to say, coming back from international break as well, it will be kind of interesting. Of course, Casemiro is going to be missing from Man United. There's not, like, we're at home. We can win this game. So and it'll be like a bit of payback from the League Cup final as well. Then look, but game by game, then West Ham, like, we can win all our games. Arsenal game would be a tough one towards the end of the season, but there's nothing stopping us winning any of those games. But it's who's going to be available to us. Are we going to have more injuries? Will there be another suspension or two? Like Bruno would be a key player if we were to lose him, and it would throw us off. But look, it's great to be in it, just still in the mix. We're not just thinking about 8th, 7th, 6th, 5th. We're still going for 3rd or 4th, you know. So it keeps the dream alive, and the longer that happens, the better. And so a lot to look forward to over in the next 12 games. And April is going to be massive. Look at all the games that are on in April. Like Man United, West Ham, Brentford, Villa, Spurs, Everton, and the game that we're at loaded at is on Southampton. So that is like 7 games there in April alone. Absolutely massive.
Well,
and
what's interesting about that, Daz, just to jump in quickly, is that obviously before that Southampton game, before we come up to Newcastle, we go to Everton on the Thursday. So the Thursday before the Sunday. So it's a really quick turnaround. So we've got a big game home to Tottenham. That could be, I'm not saying I'm not saying it's a decider, but that could, at that point, by the time Tottenham come to St James's Park, that could be, that could be the difference in us pulling away from Tottenham or them doing the same to us. Like, it's a huge game, and then we go to Goodison Park. Hopefully it's to relegate them by that point. Nothing more. I was reminded yesterday that yesterday was a year from the day that we lost at Goodison Park, and that just wound me up a little bit. But then the result last night made me feel better. But hopefully we're in a position to relegate Everton at that point. And then obviously the game at Southampton is a big one, because the loaded boys are there, and we're gonna lap it up and enjoy hopefully another 3 points.
Jeez, you never know, Pete. We could be saying we've secured European football of some description by that stage.
Wow.
You never know. And I wonder where they're going to plot that Brighton game as well. It can't be in April because there's too many games in April. It'll have to be early May, you know, and it's going to impact here as well, and that run in. So who knows where that landed.
I'll be honest with you, Daz, if they do pluck it in April somewhere, that's not a bad situation. I'm looking maybe, between Arsenal and Leeds, or between Leeds and Leicester, they might put it in. And look, it is an extra game, but it's at St James's Park. So they've got to come to us. So, who does that disrupt more than anything if it's a midweek game? It disrupts them more than us. We know what we're like under the lights midweek. With fans coming in, with war flags, with the atmosphere. At that part of the season, that could be the difference. If they put it in anywhere in May, I think you could be right. I think it could well be a May fixture. If they do, Hey, I'm buzzing at that.
Let's see. That is it for our match review, our ratings, and our look at the table. So let's go to any questions, Pete. I know it's very hard when just the two of us to try and man the comments, because I haven't clicked the comments at all, and I see 554 comments in there. So there's been a lot. But how is the old once you start? Look.
Yeah, there's some questions in there. Look, if you've got any more questions for us, guys and girls, lads and lasses, put them in the chat and we'll throw them your way. First of all, Jules is absolutely right. I know Jules had to drop off, but over 200 watching, 250 in fact plus. Click that thumbs up if you haven't already. Means that more people can see the show and come and join the show. And obviously, if you haven't already, subscribe. If you're someone that's watching the show and you haven't put a comment in, you have to subscribe to put a comment in. So come and subscribe and then get involved in the chat. You can see the type of questions that are coming in are fantastic, and we're going to come to them in a second. So come and join the chat. We're friendly. We've got fantastic chatters and brilliant mods in there that help and support us in what we do. So, shall I start with this one for you? I don't know if you want to answer this one, Daz.
Paul,
from Paul Gallen.
No, we're not on TikTok at all. I don't have TikTok. There's a lot of talk about TikTok and Chinese potential spyware on a lot of government people. Agencies are getting their employees to remove it from their phones, but no, we're not on TikTok at all, Paul. Maybe it's a trick we're missing, but we're not yet. We're not on TikTok.
No, watch this space. Let's see how they'll analyze. So Pete being in the ground, what were you thinking when the goal was disallowed? I was just thinking, where the hell is my keys? We're 2-1 up. Where's my keys? To answer the question quickly, but when it was disallowed, when I had time to process it, my thought was, are we going to be able to create another chance to win the game? Luckily, we did. We created a couple actually, so that was the positive thing. Question for us, not necessarily Newcastle related, but Lisa's put in there, just watching the Conte match interview, not necessarily a question, but do you think that's going to hamper Daz Tottenham going into after the international break? But I'll ask you an additional question. Do you think that Conte is going to make the international break and still be in charge of Tottenham?
I did read some. I haven't heard the Conte interview, but I did read something earlier today about that. Yeah, that they haven't started looking for a replacement yet, but it's everything. It's like family, personal reasons, even health issues for Conte. That it's just not going for him. He's on the way. I would be very surprised if he's there next season. Really surprised. But I didn't even consider him leaving before then. No, I think he'll stick the season out. I hope he does, because leave it the way it is. They were missing a few players as well. Let them rumble on the way they're going, and that we'll overtake them then, hopefully. But yeah, I don't want like Poch to come back or something like that, and then to get a buzz off that and go on a march and put us in danger.
I don't know whether they're going to bite the bullet. I'm really not sure. I keep changing my mind about it. I really do. I'm not quite sure what they're going to do.
Then again, I suppose like Patrick Vieira is there, or the savior himself, Steve Bruce, if they want to take him on, work away.
Yeah, but you made a good point, Daz, is that like what other managers are out there? They've got Pochettino, but is Pochettino the right man to bring in at this point in the season, or do you want to give him a full summer to bring his own players in, to get them a pre-season under their belt? There's a lot of different questions with regards to that, of whether what is the right decision. For me, I don't really care. There was one person in the chat, and I can't find the comment now, that actually they said keep Conte in the team, keep Conte at the club from our perspective, because the players will clearly be pissed off tonight and they'll clearly be annoyed. and the relationship will be broken, which could actually fall in our favour. So I thought that was a really good point. I can't find the comment, but
I'd agree 100% with that, because that's the way I thought about Ronaldo and Man United. Keep Ronaldo at Man United for as long as you can, because everything has gone to shit when he was there. And as soon as they got rid of him, look, they went on a march after that. So it's the same with Conte now.
Definitely. I'll answer these now just to get them out of the way. Have I ever heard of zips? Look, they're in my jogger pockets. They didn't have zips, unfortunately. And would I put? Have you ever thought about trying your keys to your phone on a long piece of string? You guys are having me on. Look, I did have zips in my coat pockets, but I didn't want them to just like be in there for some reason. I don't know why. It was the last thing I was thinking about. I was thinking about getting in the stadium, scoring, and going absolutely mad.
That's a good point, though. It already happened once, and you didn't put it in the zip pocket then. So that's your own fault then.
I'll be honest with you, there was steward next to me. After the second time I lost my keys, the steward next to me, he's the one that told me to put them in my zip pocket. So I put them in my zip pocket, but I put my keys in there. I left my phone in my jogger pocket. And then when the winning goal went in, I lost my phone. So then the guy next to me, Adam from Tuesday, Adam Witherington, great guy. He was just like, he literally like ushered the phone in my pocket and was like, get it in there now. Like, just keep it in there. I was like, right, okay, my bad.
If it happened again, he was taking it off you.
Confiscated. But yeah, you're right, Tom. You're right to banter about that. I deserve it 100%. But some really, really good questions popping in. John Askew, thank you for joining us. Great to have you on. He said, even in everyone has Anderson put himself in the frame for Man United. What a prospect. I think he's only 20. That's what you think. I think briefly touched on it, but would you have him start after that performance at Man U at St. James's Park next game?
It all depends on who's available to us. Look, we know Miggy's going to be gone now for 6 weeks, so he's not going to be around. Gordon, I don't, you know how Eddie Howe won't rush someone back, and that's right. In fairness, there's no point bringing Gordon back at half fitness. And if ASM, whether it's the hamstring injury or whatever went on there, that if he's not right, don't start him either. Why not throw him in then? Yeah. Look, I'd be glad of him coming off the bench and doing the same thing again next week or in 2 weeks' time. But I have no qualms about putting Anderson in. We are down to having 11, 12 players to play from, and we'll have Joe Linton back now as well, so that'll alter things as well. We can a few more permutations on who would start, but he's in the mix for sure, John.
Yeah, definitely in the mix, and there's a few other really good comments that have popped up as well. It was, in fact, Ian Toon Trader, good man. Thank you for joining us. That made the comment with regards to Conte. Sorry, I couldn't find it, but top man for that as well. I'll come to some more, lots more. Just a comment here. Trippier for Prime Minister. Conte an absolute meltdown for the Spurs game. Perfect timing for us. You're absolutely right. It's the second time this season the on-field officials have allowed a goal that was wrongly chalked off by VAR. This time, though, it ultimately didn't cost us any points. You know, are you thinking, Daz, that there is something at play here that you know, teams or officials are just not wanting Newcastle to win matches? I've got to be honest with you. It ran through my mind during the game. I was thinking the fact that Tierney was not giving there's anything, and the fact that there was at least 3 Forest players that should have been booked in the first half and they weren't. It was almost like thinking this is not going to go our way because they're just not giving us anything. What do you think about John's question?
I'm not signing up to the conspiracy theory really. But look, it's just the ref in question, Paul Tierney. He did let a lot go. Other refs would have booked Shelby early, would have booked Yates early, and set a standard for the game to follow. With the goal, look, he gave the goal, and then VAR brought him to the monitor, as we can see in the picture, to look at it. So. I just the other thing. So yeah, I'm ruling out a conspiracy theory in that one. I don't think they're trying to slow us down in some way, but they'll have some job to do anyway. We're going to steamroller into next season. It's coming, so I might as well let it happen. So it'll be a futile task to try and slow us down. But Gary Neville and Carragher as well. Gary Neville was kind of focused on that. Luckily enough, that Newcastle did get the goal, because all our focus would have been on the VAR decision, and they touched on it. Eddie Howe didn't see how it would have been ruled out. He even said, "I'll have to check the rules." And if Eddie Howe doesn't know the rules, no one knows the rules. But and then I know Sky put up kind of text describing the rule and stuff like that. But it should have counted, but it just lucky enough it's not going to play. That's what comes down to goal difference, but we have a good enough goal difference anyway. So, but yeah, no. We'll move on into the next one. If there's going to be conspiracy theories, they'll come in the Man United game. They always do.
They always do. You're right, and hopefully they turn around. Look, I'm always there for a conspiracy theory. I think they're always up against us, but look, we're there to bash them down, and hopefully we do again against Man United. But there's a few others here. CJ's put Stamford Bridge is falling down. Would you agree?
Falling down, Stamford Bridge is falling down. Yeah, and all the money they threw at it, like all the squad of players they have in their first team, second team, third team, and their teams in Europe and wherever else. It's a bit of a disgrace, really. Now, they should. I hope they do stick with Potter, because he will get it right eventually, And I think it would be harsh on him to try and get rid of him now. He picked up a few results there recently as well. They're still in the Champions League as well. But yeah, it's great. We won't be let it fall down now. They won't be falling down next season. They'll be up there fighting for it next season. They'll have the squad. They'll bring in more players in the summer. We'll put in for a bid for a player. They'll gazump us. You know what's going to happen. This is Chelsea.
Yeah, definitely. And Mark Todd said, lads, is Willock coming of age? I think the break has done him good, and he's been absolutely class. What do you think? Do you think this is Willock now kind of stepping onto a new level?
Yeah, I think it is. The only thing is that and I have said it a few times, people are sick of me saying it, that he got up to a standard before an international break for the World Cup before, and then it came back and we didn't see it. So hopefully the break doesn't disrupt him again. But back at you, Pete, you're calling for him to be in the England squad now, and being in the mix for it anyway. He's been outstanding the last couple of weeks.
Honestly, people might disagree and might think that's crazy, but I'm looking at the pool of England midfielders. You've got the likes of Henderson that's coming towards the end of his career, that has been a regular, and you need to look to the next group of players, young players coming through. You've got Longstaff that's 24, 25. You've got Willock that's 23 years old. For me, Willock's probably got a better chance of getting into that England team because of his ability to get forward and back. What he does in attacking areas is just as good as what he does defensively. And I just think, I think that if Southgate is smart, he should be looking at least bringing a player like that through. When Newcastle are performing like we are in the Premier League, you look at those type of players. I'm not being funny, but there are other England players that have got England caps. James Ward-Prowse, for example, great set-piece player, but in-game not great, in my opinion. And there's other players over the years that have got England caps for less, that have played in a team that are not performing as well as Newcastle United are. And I just think that they should at least give a look to Willock and see how he performs in England. He might not do well and he might not get another cap, but you don't know until you try a player in that position. And like Botman, There is no better feeling than seeing a player getting called up to the national squad, because having the experience of playing in and around those type of players can only elevate a player. And for me, getting someone like Willock into the England squad or Longstaff can only elevate those players and make them play better.
On Ward Prowse, won't say anything bad said about him today. He got that goal against Spurs. So cheers to that. And on Willock and Longstaff, if you have any Irish ancestry, come on, join Ireland. We'd only need 10 or 9 more players, and we could have a decent squad then. So yeah, you're more than welcome to join Ireland if Southgate doesn't pick you for the English squad.
I knew you'd try and grab them from the international stage.
We have to.
Okay, just a comment here, a view from the South Stand. A brilliant guest that we had earlier on in the season from away days. We did you a lot of favours today. You definitely did, and thank you very much. I hope there's 3 or 4, maybe 5 more favours you can do for us between now and the end of the season. But great to have you.
Yeah, you can do us a favour on the 23rd of April. That would be brilliant.
And 4 or 5 others as well.
Yeah.
I'll say with regards to that. He's asked a question. He put me on there, but I'll ask it to you, Daz. In fact, has Murphy gone up in your estimations now based on the last 2 games and what he's done for us in the team?
Yeah, it kind of. Right, back. I'll switch it back to you for a second, Pete, because you yourself and Chris were adamant, get rid of Murphy, get on. But he did start to pick it up in like his cameos that he came on, and he did well, and he deserved his start in the last two games. He's a decent squad player. He'd be a decent squad player next season as well, because we're going to be battling in some kind of European competition and cups as well, and rotation. You know, he's going to be good enough to if he keeps up the same level of performance and come off the bench and can do the job. So he's not a starter into next season, but he's a squad player and a decent one. And he gives everything. He's a Newcastle fan. He does give everything. He loves it. Like, so you kind of like he's living our dream, you know. So fair play to him.
You know what, Daz? What is he now? 27-ish. I don't know his exact age, but as a Newcastle fan and who has family that are from Newcastle, that live in Newcastle, and he knows the club. That aside, in fact, if he's happy to just play a squad role and come on and do jobs like he's done and play important roles when players are injured, as they are right now, and come on and do things like this, I haven't got an issue with that. He's not on a massive wage. As long as he's happy, and you're not going to see in the papers, which you wouldn't, because Murphy's not like that. You can see his reaction. He's so happy. Yeah. He's enjoying being and enjoying the moment. You look at his brother, for example. His brother's gone the opposite way, and that's no disrespect for him. It's just maybe choices and clubs that he's moved to has just not worked out. He's moved to Newcastle, and he's living the dream right now. You know what? Yeah, I was alongside Chris in that. Getting him out of the club, get him out. We need a new body in there. But I'll be honest, there are other players that you would move on at this point.
Yeah,
Ryan Fraser, Matt Ritchie, Jamal Lewis, all players that I would move on ahead of someone like Jacob Murphy, because Jacob Murphy right now is actually making a difference to this squad, in this team. Our performances on the pitch, so fair play. You know, I'm quite happy to turn around and say that I'm wrong and I've been proved wrong. And he has, in recent weeks, proved me wrong. And that's what we want as Newcastle fans. We want players to prove us wrong when we kind of point the finger at them. We did it with Miggy, didn't we?
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Miggy proved me wrong, and I think he proved Chris Wasp wrong as well. From Paul and the Time, he always gets the slagging about. But like link it back to that first squad game one, we three. I'd say the only one that was going to keep him was Ritchie, and then he turned it around from that, and but yeah, fair play Murphy.
Yeah, definitely fair play Murphy. There are lots of others. Hold on, let me go through. Just a quick one here. How long is Forest away from you? Well, Leicester is probably about half an hour, 40 minutes away, depending on traffic. Not too far away from me at all. Nice and easy. I don't know anything about this, Daz, but Jan is put. Apparently, we're in advanced talks with Madison and or at Derby and at or Madison. I think both
Mm,
players.
yeah,
I've
well,
not heard anything personally. I don't know if anyone in the chat has heard anything. I haven't.
I haven't heard about advanced talks, but I see Diaby's name mentioned, and there's a 62 million fee, and Arsenal, and it was that coming from 90 minutes, I think, where the quote came from. But yeah, it's just again, it's starting up the summer transfer window talk. Madison, look, every week this talk about Madison, so a long way to go yet.
I did see something, and whether it was from, I don't think it was from an official channel, but I think someone had made a comment that apparently Leverkusen have put a £62 million fee on Diaby's head for the summer. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. Look, we'll get into the transfer show in the summer when it matters. Not right now, but would you pay that if that was the fee? Would you pay that just off the bat?
That's the kind of money we will be paying for someone of his quality, or someone else. I haven't heard an awful lot about him recently. I've focused in on the guy you were talking about before, Florian Waltz. Sorry, well, I can't pronounce the name right, but he's played for the same team.
Yeah,
he looks decent as well.
Works, if I'm pronounced right.
Yeah, he looks decent as well. So yeah, it's so many names, so little time, so many shows. Keep you entertained right through the summer. That means no summer holidays for us, Pete.
No, there never is. There never will be again with transfer news on the Fully Loaded Chat.
I used to enjoy transfer news.
Now we get hundreds a day. But look, we'll be coming back with you with more transfer news over the summer. That's for sure. But we're going to get all the football content out there first for what's in front of us with football matches before we start doing transfer talk. I know other channels are doing transfer shows right now, but we're not ready for that yet. Not yet. Definitely not. Question from Yano. Welcome, Yano. Great to see you back in the chat. Hope all is well and family is well. So do you now agree that Wilson is a championship standard forward? He's simply not up to the rigors of the Premier League. Daz, I want to get your thoughts on that.
Oh God, Yano's been waiting in the long grass for the day that he could launch that one. Of course, linking back to squad game 2, Yano put Wilson in the championship category. Wilson will come good again for us, and for whoever potentially takes him next, and he'll stay in the Premier League. He's not going to the Championship. So I don't think he's Championship quality. He's way better than that. It's just that, as Eddie Howe said, he didn't train this week. I thought Eddie Howe was going to bring him on at halftime, and if Isak hadn't scored that leveler right before halftime, I think he would have seriously considered doing it. But no, you have to wait another while yet to say, I told you so.
Love it. Okay, more coming in. Great question from Will. Is Joe Linton walking back into the team against Man United, and who for?
That is a tough one. He should be back in the team. At the moment, do you put ASM, Murphy? I know they're playing a different role, but to ASM, I suppose, for now. Unless it'll be ASM or sorry, I'm going for Joe Linton will come in for ASM. That's the way it's looking so far, and have that combination going with Willock and Joe Linton again.
100% agree that. Joe Linton will come back on the left. Joe Linton and Willock will link up again on that left-hand side. They had a great connection early on in the season. 100% ASM will be back on the bench again and come in as an impact player, which is not necessarily a bad thing. You look at what Elliot Anderson's done off the bench as an impact player. ASM has done the same in previous games. This is a squad game. Literally, I'm not saying the show like that, but this is a squad game, And look, ASM, I have to say, I don't know if any of you have seen the content with, because a lot of people are saying, ASM, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. He looked genuinely happy and buzzing as the players were coming off the pitch. He wasn't sulking, he wasn't down, like he was buzzing. He was in amongst everything and hugging and clapping and all the rest of it as players were in and around things after the game. We saw it in the stands and the content that we saw from Newcastle. So it doesn't look like someone that's unhappy.
Actually,
at being subbed, he didn't necessarily look unhappy at being subbed. So that makes you think that maybe there was a hamstring injury involved, and I only found that out kind of like after I got home that might have been the case. Like whereas normally, if you're dragged at half time, you're genuinely pissed off. He didn't look like that at all. That was my observation. But what were you going to say there? Sorry.
I was going to say I'm going to go to something that I told you I'd forget to play it, Pete. This is your video from at the end of the game. So let's play away with that. So it's just under a minute long, but it gives you an insight into the crowd's reaction right after the game. No, I didn't see any keys or phones flying there, Pete. So
they secured in the zip pocket.
the steward's pocket at that stage has the mind for you.
Literally, that gave me goosebumps. That did, honestly. We walked down, everyone was walking down the stairs, and like we were in there half an hour after the game. Like people were still singing and dancing. We were still in there, and I got to the bottom of the stairs, and there was like a little bit where you got the railings, and I was just kind of like just stood there, just looking around, like singing with everyone else, and it was just like how times have changed. That was my thought that was going through my mind, like how times have changed, like the previous owner, the drab football, the horrible results away from home, and we still travelled regardless across the country to see our team, and to see them perform like that, it was quite emotional, really, to see us 25-30 minutes after the game, like celebrating and supporting, and people that don't even know each other. Half the guys, I was high-fiving and bear hugging and all sorts. Like this is the beauty of away games. Why I love away games more than any other, because the feeling you get, particularly when you win, like I can't explain it. It's an unreal feeling. Like the celebrations, the moments you have with people that you've never met before, probably won't even see again. But in that moment, you just feel something, and it's brilliant. Honestly, I was just admiring everyone that's celebrating around and kind of just enjoying the moment, because we've had so many away days where we haven't been able to do that, and we're able to kind of savor every moment on Friday, which was great.
It's all the adrenaline and the endorphins from the whole experience. But yeah, cool, Pete. Let's go on to the next questions.
So Bobby says, beat West Ham, help them to get relegated, sign Paqueta in the summer. What are your thoughts?
I think Dan Lawless will have something to say about that. Beat West Ham. Why not? They were difficult when we did play them already this season. Help them get them relegated. I don't think they're going down though. I think they'll. And there was a percentage thing as well. Sky showed on for who to get relegated, and West Ham were like 10% or something like that. That they were the lowest chance. I know anything can happen, but no, I don't think they're going to go down. Sign Paqueta, I'd still go back from at a decent fee, at a reduced fee, if they're willing to do that. That's the key.
Not paying 50 million for him, that's for
No
sure.
way, no, 25.
Especially if they get relegated in their first season, they can't justify that. But yeah, it's an interesting one. This is just a comment really from John Tune for Life. I wonder how much Tony has on it for 10 yellow cards. That would be interesting. Look, I'll be honest, guys, I want to get your thoughts on this. That would be a huge miss for Brentford and a huge plus for us if he gets a yellow card in the next 2 games before we play them.
Oh, he will. Yeah, he's their best player. So, it definitely too far ahead. When do we play them again? Sure, I have it here. Brentford at the 8th of April. We go there where
it's the week after Man United because we play West Ham midweek in between.
Okay, so it's coming up the next. It's our 3rd game.
Yeah, but I think they have a midweek game as well at the same time as us. So I think, if I'm right in thinking, I could be wrong, they've got 2 games in which he could get a yellow card, which could then put him out of the Newcastle game.
Yeah, every little helps. Why not?
Yeah, too right. Craig needs put this on earlier on in the chat tonight. Put Brighton are the team to keep an eye on. Do you think that people are discarding Brighton a little bit too easily?
I think they are. We even in a show with Charlie the other night, where there was kind of Brighton were kind of out of the picture, but like they're not. They're and like they have followed us. They've matched us to some degree as well. And like up from when we got promoted, like they should have won that championship. And they even had the scarves ready to go with the winners and everything on it. But yeah, they've always been kind of toe to toe with us in a way, and they've been ahead of us a lot of the time as well. So I wouldn't rule Brighton out. They're a decent side. They've got some very good players. I think we'll finish ahead of them, and so I don't think they'll worry us. But I wouldn't rule them out completely. No. How about you?
No, I wouldn't rule them out. They've got the ability and the quality of football to really matter a challenge. Whether it's for the Champions League, I'm not quite sure. They're certainly in the race for Europe.
Yeah,
and I actually think they could keep someone like a Chelsea out of Europe potentially, and maybe even Liverpool, depending on how well Liverpool get on. So it could be that Newcastle and Brighton keep the Liverpool and Chelsea out of European football, or certainly Europa League football this season. And I'm not ruling them out of that, but I just think they do have. I mean, they drew at Leeds, so they do have the ability to drop points here and there. And whether they've got the ability to carry it on in the business end of the season, where the pressure's on, we know what they were like when the pressure was on in the Championship. They buckled at the last moment. We ended up winning the league off the back of that. So let's see how it is. But they're obviously a very different team than what they were before. But equally, so are we. So
I think we're at, as I was trying to say earlier, we've been kind of neck and neck for a long time, and they were ahead of us back in the Bruce era. But we're slightly ahead of them now, and I think next season we go on that, and they'll sell some players as well, so they will slightly go down. They'll sooner or later they'll run out of the good work that Dan Ashford put in and the team he put in place, and so we give it 2 years time, we'll be well ahead of Brighton.
Definitely. PDK's mentioned about Brighton. Brighton were very lucky with injuries, 2 or 3, and they will drop off. It's a great point. They haven't really had many injuries to kind of really to talk about, if I'm honest with you. So I think that's a more than a valid point, and great to throw points in there. Mark Todd has come back with another one. He's put, has the international break come at a good time or a bad time? We have a few players out with injury, and Bruno have been nursing an injury for ages. Obviously, but to counteract that, we've gone back-to-back wins. So what do you think? Is it a good time to have a break or a bad time? What do you think, guys?
We'll only be able to answer that after the Man United game. We'll know have have players come back from international break with injuries? Have we picked up where we left off and continued our good form and get either a win or a draw against Man United, or are we gone? Have we lost momentum again? But I think it's in an okay time. I'm kind of sitting on the fence. I'm doing a Keith roll. I'm just going to sit on the fence. It's neither good or bad. It has to happen.
We've got to give him a shout out. We have to give our man, or 00 Stato for away days, Keith Roll, a mention, because he did predict the correct result. He did predict 2-1. Anybody that watches away days, we have our infamous 00 Stato that makes all predictions on the scores. And look, our very own Splinter, as we know him as, if anyone watches Ninja Turtles, you would know him as Splinter. He did say it would be a 2-1. He did also say it could well be a 1-1. So it was a little bit on the fence, but we'll give him this one because he did make the correct prediction. What do you think, Daz?
I actually haven't seen that part of away days. I watched bits and pieces of away days the other night. I've been so busy, but yeah, we have to give credit to Keith. And again, look, I don't get on the show. Keith, credit to Keith. Each week he goes on and he puts in a lot of effort with the stats. And I know he gets abuse from people as well, just in the chat. But look, a fair play to Keith, giving up his time each week to source the information and then to come on the show and go through it. So top man, Keith, and hopefully we get to meet up with you in April, Keith, when we're over. Looking forward to meeting the new Bond.
Yeah, Lisa's already named him. Just remember, Spencer correctly predicted it. His new nickname's already been had as Splinter, Mystic Splinter. I love it. I love it. Honestly, it's brilliant. So I can't remember if you're in the chat right now and you mentioned it. Someone put it in the chat on away days, and I quickly raced away and got the Splinter picture from terms, and we put it on the screen. But you are.
I have to go back and watch it now.
you gotta watch it. It's brilliant. And to be fair, as you've said, Keith knows. He knows the score. He knows it's all banter, and he enjoys it. And like you said, and you're absolutely right, the level of detail. And I have to say, every single guest that we have on, from every fan of every club, have said the same about Keith. They've said the level of detail he puts into his stats and the stuff that he comes up with is absolutely brilliant. They don't have anything on their fan channels of anything of the same ilk as what Keith does. So Daz, you're absolutely spot on there. Fair play to Keith. Great guy. Lovely man. Looking forward to meeting him with the boys for the Southampton game up in Newcastle and having a drink with him. Really, really top guy. But yeah, the Splinter comment they do crease me up a little bit. Geordie Jack, welcome Geordie Jack. He says, "How can Southgate complain about the lack of English players when he won't pick outside his comfort zone?" And this comes back to our point about not only Longstaff but Willock. What are your thoughts, Daz?
Yeah, look, I don't pay too much attention really to the English squad. Look, I do when it comes to the championships, like the Euros or the World Cup. But it doesn't affect me so much. I know I see Martin, who half the time he's English, half the time he's Irish, half the time he's New Zealand, half the time is whatever you have in yourself. So he'll have a bit of everything. But yeah, will it come? Will that kind of only come when they change manager, and it's a kind of fresh start, and some of the older players that were constant picks will be out, and a fresh ideas come in. I think Southgate is what he is now. You know what you're getting. You're getting the same thing.
Yeah, it's been the same for quite a while now. He picks the players that he's comfortable with and that he's known that have done him a job. For a period of time, but when you're picking Calvin Phillips, that's barely kicked a ball all season, and when you're picking, other players in the team that are not playing well, That for me is a big question. Like, I've been speaking to the 12th man lads because we talked about it on a previous show. Might have been with Charlie or with the Shields Gazette guys earlier on this week, and we talked about Mason Mount. I think it was Charlie actually. We talked about Mason Mount and being with Newcastle. Now, I'm not a massive fan of Mason Mount. I don't see the hype and why he even gets picked for England, in my opinion. He hasn't had a good season for Chelsea either. And I was talking to them about that and talking to Togs and one or two others because they've been linked with Newcastle as well as Liverpool. And I was like, well, I wouldn't take him. And it was like, Tobes came back and he said something like, well, you know, there's not, other than Bruno, there's not any other player in your midfield that's probably better than him. And I was like, well, it's not about who's better than him now in terms of stature, but it's about who we can attract. I said I'd much rather a Maddison or somebody else in midfield ahead of Mason Mount, especially if he's asking for 240 grand a week.
Yeah, like, that's ridiculous.
No one's on like 120 grand a week more, like, or plus beyond that in our whole squad. Yeah. Like, why would we pay him that when he's not even on Bruno's level?
The other thing, Pete, is that, and I saw Martin commenting on it today, there was he's changed agent. So that's always a sign that he's either angling for a move or, look, this is to Chelsea, pay me, match what's coming in the door, and because he knows that they'll throw money at Anthony and everything. So I think it's just a ploy to get a bigger contract, really.
But equally, I don't think Chelsea are willing to pay him that. I think Chelsea are willing to let him go, and it'll be a case of who is going to pay him the biggest wage and who's going to pay Chelsea the biggest money to get him out. And I don't think Newcastle are going to be that team personally. But what I then threw back, and they couldn't agree. They couldn't. To be fair, Toast was like fair play. Is that I think, and in the chat, and Daz, if you disagree, let me know. I actually think Longstaff has performed better than Mason Mount this season. Over the course of this season, I think he's had a better season. And I go back to the Chelsea game that we reviewed on, and I think Longstaff, Willock absolutely drove Mason Mount into the ground. Mason Mount was not good at St. James's Park. So he hasn't pulled up any trees for me that makes me think that he's not only worth the fee that Chelsea will demand, but certainly not 240 grand a week. No way.
Yeah, this if you were getting them for a decent fee and you were getting them like not top earner, like it's like just below top earners, then you'd consider him as a player first, and he'd come into our first team. He might be rotated a bit, but he's not someone I would go break all budgets to go get. No way.
No, I agree. And Craig Lee said, if he's not good enough for Chelsea, why would he be good enough for us? And I think that's more than a fair point. You know, Chelsea in their history and their trophy winning are above us. Quite rightly, they've won a lot of trophies, but for where we're going, I don't think he's in that position where he demands the £240,000 a week that he's demanding for his move if he goes elsewhere. I just don't think he's worth it, personally. But look, we're just talking about one season in isolation. A quick question from Craig Lee's Law is still on the chase for Europe. Yes, because it's in the Conference League. Once, fingers crossed, they go out the Conference League, he will be shipped out very quickly, and it will be a show not to miss. That is for sure. Definitely.
Hang on. So this is on the 12th man. You'd actually evict them from that particular show. I know there's other shows that Dan does, but you'd take him out on the 12th man, that particular 12th man show, Race for Europe show. Wow.
Dan Potts is waiting. He's literally waiting. He's waiting for them to get kicked out of the Europa League to remove him from the Race for Europe. Sorry, but I think he's gone on. He's appeared on the other show before. He's on that chat as well. So like, you know, obviously because they're down there in the league, but because they're still in Europe, he's still part of the European chat. That's why.
That live eviction would be pay-per-view event, I think.
I'm there for it. I think loads of other people as well in the 12th man are waiting for that to happen. They cannot wait. Honestly, they cannot wait for him to get that eviction. But
They might win it.
He said they're going to win it. So he's so confident that everyone's going, well, okay, you're confident. So if you don't win it, this is where you're going next. So I've got a feeling he's going to disappear off the face of the planet if they do lose. There's still some decent teams in there, but the reason why is because if they win the conference, they qualify for the Europa League next season.
Yeah.
But they'll still be in Europe, so it'll still be part of things. So we'll see. We'll see. And just talking about the away end and their feelings about everything about the away end, and Chantal's put quite rightly, this is why football is the best game in the world. It brings people together, and you are absolutely right. It really, really does. Daz, there's a question. Would I this? But Daz, we have seen a rundown of our games left to play. Perhaps let's look at who our rivals for Champions League places have to play. Maybe next week.
Yeah, maybe that's a good suggestion. Would either because it was kind of half waiting until we got to 10 games left. But look, now with the international break, might be the time to do that. Get it up, put it together, and then bring the boys on, and let's talk it out. And maybe even put what we think wins, losses, draws, and kind of do a points total and where we all think we'd end up. That'd be interesting. It's a show in itself, nearly. So one for the agenda this week to talk about, Pete. Who are planning our shows.
Yeah, look, there's a few things in the pipeline, so certainly for the next couple of weeks, don't go anywhere. Keep an eye on all things loaded because, like I said, myself and Daz and the team have been talking about potential shows this week, and there's a few things that could be quite juicy to get involved in. So yeah, keep an eye on all things. Talked about Longstaff with regards to Mount. Yano didn't agree, but Longstaff, I won't refer to that, but
emoji again.
Yeah, that emoji's popped up. I'm only talking about in isolation of this season, not in other seasons. But 2fan4444. But totally agree about Longstaff. So there's a difference in opinion with regards to that, and that's what we love about football. That's for sure. And really to kind of like wrap it up, Jordan Timper said Pete take Lee with you to the next away game. Look, me and Lee used to go to lots and lots of Newcastle away games up and down the country and in Europe, Champions League, UEFA Cup, all before. And I have tried and get Lee a ticket for an away game because he has said to me, look, I'd love to come and watch a game. Obviously, it depends on his work, and obviously working with Sky and stuff at the moment, it's difficult to find time. But more so than anything, I want to get a ticket for him to take him up to St. James's Park. So I want to try and, whether it's between now and the end of the season, I don't know if he can make Southampton, but I want to try and get him up before now, maybe the end of the season. Maybe fingers crossed Leicester at home. I think that's the last home game for the end of the season. Try and get him up there for a game. So hopefully we can we can get him up there for a game. But yeah, definitely he'd be the old security guard for me, as he always been through the years. That's for sure. And look, it's I'll end it on this.
Just hold your keys.
Yeah.
That'll do.
Yeah, he'd look after them. There's no doubt about it. And John Askew's put, is there now another feel-good factor surrounding the two, which probably wasn't there a couple of weeks ago? What do you think, Daz?
Yeah, there definitely is. Look, we've had the feel-good factor right through the season, and then the run-up to the Cup, and then with things faltering a bit, with playing good teams, our solid run came to an end, but now they're picking up again, and that's a great time to pick up. This is where you need to put the run in, but the massive 7 games in April alone to come, and it's not going to be easy playing 2 games a week in a lot of those weeks, but nearly all of them. But so feel good factors there. We have to maintain it as well. But yeah, let's see what's around the corner for. We don't have long to wait. Once you get over this international break, it's going to be coming hot and heavy, Ellis. So hang on to your seat.
It's going to be a bumpy ride, that's for sure. And no, he's not taller than me, but he's very much stockier than me. So yes, once you meet him, you will know. That's for sure. But
So don't mention height and Pete.
Oh no! Oh my God! I swear to you, if anyone hasn't already, there's 230 plus watching, 136 likes. Keep clicking that like button, and equally, if you haven't subscribed, we've had a few new subscribers tonight. Thank you for joining us. Hit that subscribe button and come and join the channel. But equally, honestly, last night, Adam Wigdrington and Alex Hurst. Why are all Geordies giants? They're all 6'3", 6'4". Like I'm like 5'10", and I thought I was like a decent height. I'm a midget compared to them, and I was just like looking up the whole time. It's crazy. Like all Geordies are giants. Dunhill. I don't know if he's in the chat.
Yeah, those are giants. Some pictures, yeah.
Everyone's so tall. But me and Lee are around the same height. I'm probably a little bit taller than Lee.
How are you 5'10", Pete?
I'm 5'10". No, I'm not getting into. No, I'm not getting into this. Not tonight. Not tonight. It'll all come to fruition.
In April. Yeah.
We'll get it together, heights and all, in their order, and it'll all be there.
Shoes off.
You watch 1 or 2 turn up with that heel shoes.
Yeah. Chris will be wondering whether they went missing. But right. Lost Pete. While we lost Pete, let's go to our sponsors to give a shout out. And I'll continue because Pete comes back in. Pete, I'm going to go to sponsors because we'll forget otherwise. So I want to give a shout out to the Radiator Shed, and as I put Pete and myself in jail there, the Radiator Shed, and of course Russ. And I haven't seen Russ in the chat for a while, but he's been busy. Talking to Callum Wilson, no doubt. But yeah, Russ has a range of radiators available and multiple different colors. So check those all out, and you all know the story of where to find Russ and at the Radiator Shed, what he does at this stage in the loaded van. Go check that out. If you need any heating needs, contact Russ. He will sort you out. And or if you know someone that else who needs them, as Charlie's doing up he needs new bathroom. He's looking to buy a house on how he said on Twitter today. So Russ on the Charlie. Also shout out to Bathroom Design, H2O Bathroom Design Co., the Northeast's largest supplier of Velcro and botch bathroomware. Team Valley Gateshead, over 20 years established, run by the family. Get down to the showroom on 11th Avenue, Team Valley Estate, Gateshead. And you know already, these bathrooms are absolutely amazing. They're good enough for Callum Wilson and potentially more members of the Newcastle squad. They're good enough for everybody else. So yeah, check those out. For bathrooms or heating needs, contact Russ or Martin or the lads, or contact us and we'll put you in touch with the lads. We'll sort you out there. That is it for the sponsors. Did you want to do 1 or 2 more questions before we close out?
I don't know if we have any. I've got to be
right on cue, so no problem.
There was the field goal factor part from John. Yeah, I don't. I'll be honest. I don't think there's anything. I'm just getting hammered on the chat for my height. Like Lisa's supposed to put on there. I'm taller than Pete. Like I've just said to her. I've responded. On the back of that, but Yannis has put I'll just put. I'm not that. I'm literally going through the conversation.
Okay, all right, that's it. In April, we will be there in a pub on the Saturday night before. It's some pub we haven't picked it yet. Before the Southampton game, we'll get a chart. And you can go and get yourself, compare heights to Pete to see if you're taller than Pete or not. And get your selfies taken with Pete. There you go. And
PDK, we get grow bags, not cots. Oh my god. Lisa did say only just. So we'll see, because it might not be correct. Alstam and Pete about the same size. I don't know whether that's a good thing or not. I think we need Richie for this one.
Yeah.
I think we do.
Richie is your favorite piece on that one.
Yeah, Pete is not sure. It's just Chris says no. No. I was bending down when we had the program. I was crouching because I was like giving him a bit of a man bear hug. I'm not having this. What is going on? Yes, hold on. What's this one? Hold on 1 second. I can't click it. Hold on a second. I can't even click.
Who's it from?
Mr. Lanzi.
This one.
Yeah, that one. What is going on?
That's where your keys fall out. I would explain it.
I give up. I give up.
Pete, you'll have to redeem yourself in April. Look, we will leave it there for the night while Pete cries into the rest of his brandy. Thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out. Make sure if you are not subscribed, you hit subscribe if you're watching this back. Come and join us this week. We'll be back. He's gone again. We'll be back with further shows. We yet to talk about and sort that out. So we will do in due course. To get rid of this comment, and we'll let Pete say goodbye.
I keep getting booted out. I have no idea why.
It's because you're too short, Pete. Good night.
Drink it.